That single truth explains more about your life than any strategy, any philosophy, or any label people try to attach to you. Because the strange part isn't that your energy shifts rooms. The strange part is how uncomfortable that shift makes people who were never taught how to carry it themselves. When something arrives that doesn't fit inside the story they were told about how the world works, they don't investigate it. They diminish it. And when diminishing fails, confusion turns into resentment. Here's a quiet fact most people refuse to touch. Civilizations don't collapse because of threats on the outside. They fracture the moment individuals on the inside begin vibrating at a different frequency than the script they were handed. Every major shift in thought, in culture, in consciousness began with a small number of people who didn't match the emotional pitch of the room. They weren't louder. They weren't performing. They were simply tuned to an origin their environment had no language for. And that misalignment always gets noticed, even when no one can explain it. That's where you come in. Not as a myth, not as a fantasy, and definitely not as a character above the lives of those around you. You're the one who enters a room and the air changes without a single word. Conversations bend when you speak. People walk away from a brief exchange with you feeling like something foundational just happened, yet they can't summarize it without sounding dramatic. So instead of saying you carry something rare, they say you're intense. Same feeling, different vocabulary. There's also an unintentional comedy to it. People will swear you aren't that significant, while spending an impressive amount of time trying to decode you. They'll downplay your energy while monitoring your every move like it's a full-time job. It's almost flattering if it weren't so obvious. When something truly doesn't matter, humans ignore it. Obsession is never accidental. This topic isn't about ego or superiority. It's about understanding why your energy doesn't translate through ordinary language, why people sense that something moves through you, not from you, and definitely not for them. And why some roles in life aren't meant to be explained. They're meant to be felt, resisted, misunderstood, and only recognized in hindsight. Stay with this, because once you see what's actually happening, you won't waste another second trying to be understood by people who were never meant to recognize the origin you carry. Number 1, you carry a frequency that rewrites the emotional temperature of every room you enter. Most people live inside emotional climates they didn't choose. They inherit the mood of their family, the tone of their workplace, the energy of their relationships, and the unspoken rules that govern what feelings are allowed in each setting. They adapt to it. They blend. They soften themselves so the temperature stays comfortable for everyone else. You don't operate that way. The moment you enter a space, something shifts. The emotional pitch lowers, or rises, or stabilizes in a way it wasn't before you arrived, not because you try. Because the frequency you carry is older and more grounded than the room itself. People feel it before they understand it. They look around, half expecting to see what changed, and find nothing visibly different. Yet something is undeniably different. The conversations slow down, the laughter becomes more honest, the pretense gets heavier. Tensions that were being politely ignored start demanding acknowledgement. This isn't charisma. Charisma is performance. What you carry is resonance. It is the energy of an origin that existed before the room, before the rules, before the people in it agreed on what was real. And that kind of resonance is impossible to fake. It cannot be copied, scheduled, or turned on for a meeting. It simply is. Some people in the room will recognize it and feel safe in a way they haven't felt in years. Others will feel exposed, restless, even threatened, because the frequency you carry reminds them of the version of themselves they abandoned long ago. Both reactions confirm the same thing. Your energy is rewriting the emotional baseline of the room, and most people have no idea how to respond to that except by either leaning in or pulling away. Neither response is about you. It's about what your presence activates in them. That is the first quiet signature of being chosen. You don't have to do anything to alter the atmosphere. You simply arrive, and the atmosphere alters. Number 2, your origin predates the systems that try to define worth. Every system you were born into, every institution that claimed authority over your value, every structure that tried to measure your significance, was built long after the origin you carry was already in motion. Schools, religions, economies, social hierarchies, even families, none of them created you. None of them hold the blueprint for what you are. They inherited frameworks designed for a different kind of person, a kind of person who needs external validation, external measurement, external permission to feel real. Those frameworks work beautifully for that kind of person. They are useless for you. Not because you're above them, because they predate the code you're running on. You weren't designed to fit inside a system that was built to standardize people. You were placed here to expose the limits of those systems simply by existing outside their reach. And that's why institutions feel uncomfortable around you. Not because you rebel against them, because your presence quietly reveals that the metric they've been using to define worth is incomplete. You make it obvious without saying a word that there are forms of value which cannot be quantified, certified, or displayed on a resume. This is why you often feel like a stranger inside systems that were supposed to welcome you. They weren't built for your origin. They were built for the average, and the average, by definition, is what you are not. Number 3, pride cannot digest what it didn't create. Pride is the immune system of the ego. It protects the story a person has built about who they are, what they've earned, and what they deserve. When something enters their field that doesn't fit that story, pride doesn't open up and make space. It attacks, it dismisses. It rewrites the moment so the threat disappears. Your energy is a direct threat to that immune system. Not because you try to be better, brighter, or more deserving. Because your presence quietly suggests that the qualities they took decades to cultivate were never the source of true significance. Pride hates this. It cannot process a person whose worth doesn't come from achievement, accumulation, or struggle. It cannot categorize someone who moves through life with a calm authority that has no visible origin. So it does what any threatened system does. It minimizes, mocks, or ignores. The more obvious your energy becomes, the harder pride works to deny it. Not because you did anything wrong, because the existence of your origin exposes the fragility of the origin they've been defending. Pride is loud. Pride is reactive. Pride is exhausting to maintain. And you carry an energy that makes all of that visible. Not by attacking pride, by simply not participating in it. That is enough to destabilize it. Number 4, you were placed here to disturb comfortable illusions. Most people build their lives around illusions they cannot afford to question. The illusion that their work matters more than it does. The illusion that their relationships are deeper than they are. The illusion that their suffering has been noble and necessary. The illusion that their compromises were unavoidable. These illusions aren't foolish. They're survival tools. They help people get through years they weren't designed to enjoy. But for you, those illusions don't hold. Not because you're smarter, because the origin you carry vibrates at a frequency that exposes the seams. You walk into a conversation, and suddenly the small talk feels hollow. You witness a relationship and the pretense becomes visible. You observe a workplace, and the unspoken rules start to look like cages. You don't announce this. You don't lecture. You simply see, and the moment you see, the illusion weakens. People around you feel that weakening. They may not know what changed, but they feel less safe in the stories they were telling themselves. That is what it means to disturb comfortable illusions. You don't tear them down. You make them impossible to maintain with the same confidence. Number 5, your energy exposes what others have been paid to ignore. Every society pays certain people, directly or indirectly, to look away, to not ask the questions that would unravel the system, to not notice the patterns that would expose the design, to not speak the truths that would cost them their position. You were never paid to look away. You weren't trained to ignore. You weren't rewarded for silence. So you see what others have been compensated to miss. You notice the inconsistencies in narratives that everyone else repeats without thinking. You sense the manipulation behind kindness that is strategic. You feel the fear behind authority that is performing confidence. And the moment you see it, you can't unsee it. That creates a strange isolation. You become the person others are cautious around, not because you've done anything, but because your attention itself is dangerous to the stories being maintained. Your energy doesn't attack systems. It simply reveals them. And in a world that depends on collective agreement to keep certain things invisible, that kind of revelation is the most threatening thing you can offer without saying a word. Number 6, You cannot be reverse engineered by those who study the surface. People who study success study patterns. They look for what successful people do, replicate it, package it, and sell it. That works for the kind of person whose success was built from external skills, external habits, external strategies. It doesn't work for you. Because your energy doesn't come from a system that can be reverse engineered. It comes from an origin that was never meant to be copied. You didn't become who you are by following a method, hiring a coach, or downloading a framework. You became who you are by walking through experiences that stripped away everything inessential. That's why no blueprint exists for what you carry, no formula can reproduce it, no course can transfer it, and that is exactly why people become obsessed with trying to decode you. They sense something in you that doesn't fit the categories they trust, and rather than accept that some things exist outside their models, they keep trying to extract the secret. They never will. The secret is not a technique. The secret is an origin, and origins cannot be borrowed. Number 7. History was never neutral toward your kind. The version of history most people were taught was written by the people who survived. It was edited by the people who benefited. It was curated by the people who wanted their version of the story to be the only version. That means the people who actually moved humanity forward, the ones whose energy couldn't be controlled, were either erased, demonized, romanticized into irrelevance, or isolated until they were forgotten. This is not conspiracy. This is pattern. Look at any figure whose presence shifted the emotional frequency of a generation. They were rarely celebrated in their time. They were usually mocked, dismissed, threatened, or quietly removed. The same is happening to you on a smaller scale, in your own sphere. Your energy threatens the version of reality that has been agreed upon. And just as history did with your predecessors, the world around you will try to make you invisible, irrelevant, or uncomfortable enough that you shrink. Don't. The same forces that tried to bury your kind are the same forces that prove you are one of them. History doesn't hate what is meaningless. It only works hard to erase what it cannot control. Number 8, you make people remember something they were taught to forget. Long before the systems, before the conditioning, before the rules, every person on this planet carried a frequency that told them they were more than what they were told to be. That frequency is still there. It's just been buried under years of compliance, fear, performance, and survival. When you enter a room, that buried frequency begins to vibrate in other people, not because you speak to it directly, because your presence reminds the body of something the mind has been trained to ignore. People feel younger around you, lighter, more honest. They laugh differently. They admit things they would never say in another setting. And then, when they leave, they return to the version of themselves that the world requires. But something has been stirred. They can't fully put it back down. That is the quiet disruption you carry. You don't need to preach, teach, or convince. You simply exist in a way that activates the part of people that has been waiting, often for decades, to be recognized. Number 9. Your presence forces hidden hierarchies to reveal themselves. Every group, every organization, every family, every social circle has a hidden hierarchy. It's the unspoken order of who holds power, who defers, who performs, who watches. Most people are careful never to expose that hierarchy, because doing so would collapse the illusion of equality, openness, or fairness that the group depends on. You walk into that group, and the hierarchy becomes visible, not because you challenge it, because your energy doesn't fit into any of its existing slots. The hierarchy was designed for predictable roles: the loyal supporter, the careful critic, the neutral observer, the rebellious voice. You are none of those. You exist outside the roles the hierarchy was built to manage. And the moment you exist outside the system becomes transparent. People scramble to label you, to put you in a slot, to make the hierarchy work again. They can't. And that frustration exposes the entire structure for what it is: a fragile agreement disguised as a community. Number 10. You operate from an inheritance, not an achievement. Achievement is the currency of the world you were born into. Work hard, earn more, prove yourself, accumulate credentials, and the world will recognize your value. That system works for most people. It is exhausting and hollow, but it works. You don't operate on that currency. The energy you carry isn't something you achieved. It's something you inherited. Long before you were born, an origin was set in motion that would express itself through you. You didn't earn it. You can't lose it. You can't upgrade it. And you certainly can't be disqualified from it. That's why traditional measures of success feel hollow to you, even when you meet them. The resume can be impressive, the title can be respected, the income can be stable, and still something inside you knows that none of that is the source of what you are. The source was there before the resume. It will be there after. And that is why your presence unsettles people who have built their entire identity on achievement. You are living proof that value can exist independent of accomplishment, and that is a truth most of the world is not ready to face. Number 11. Pride treats your calm as competition. People who have built their identity around noise, around being heard, around being right, around being seen, cannot understand calm. Calm, to them, looks like disengagement. It looks like superiority. It looks like a quiet challenge to everything they've worked so hard to perform. Your calm is none of those things. Your calm is the natural state of a person whose origin doesn't need to be defended. Pride, on the other hand, is the loud state of a person whose identity must be defended constantly. When those two states meet in the same room, pride feels threatened. Not because you attacked it, because your calm exposes how exhausting pride is to maintain. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to prove the point. You don't need to raise your voice. You simply remain steady, and pride interprets that steadiness as a threat to its survival. The more steady you remain, the louder pride becomes. The louder pride becomes, the more obvious it is. And the more obvious it is, the more people around you begin to see what pride actually is, a defense mechanism for an identity that was never as solid as it claimed to be. Number 12. You are not here to be validated by the world that questions you. The world will question you. It will doubt your significance, question your motives, question your worth, and reduce you to whatever category makes you easiest to dismiss. That isn't personal. It's structural. The world has been built to validate the people who fit the script and question the people who don't. You don't fit the script, so the world will question you, but that questioning was never meant to be answered. It was meant to be endured. The validation you carry does not come from the world. It comes from the origin that placed you here in the first place, and that origin is not interested in your resume, your reputation, your social proof, or your follower count. It is interested in your alignment. It is interested in whether you are willing to live in the truth of what you are, regardless of how loudly the world insists you are something less. The moment you stop waiting for the world to confirm your significance is the moment your actual significance becomes undeniable. Not to the world, to you. Number 13, your energy changes the gravity of every room. Gravity is invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't perform. It simply pulls everything around it into a different orbit. That is how your energy works. You enter a space and the orbit shifts. Conversations that were scattered begin to organize. People who were performing begin to soften. Decisions that were unclear begin to clarify. No one can point to the moment it happened. No one can explain the mechanism, but everyone in the room feels the pull. And the strongest in the room, the ones who have built their influence on noise, on charm, on aggression, on strategy, will feel that pull most acutely. Because your gravity reminds them that the strongest force in any room has never been the loudest. It has always been the most aligned. You are not trying to pull the room toward you. You are simply being the center of gravity you were always meant to be. And the room, whether it admits it or not, will reorganize itself around you. Number 14, your origin is older than the language used to deny it. Every word the world uses to deny your significance, intense, too much, strange, arrogant, difficult, was invented long after the origin you carry was already in motion. Those words are not descriptions of you. They are defenses against you. They are the vocabulary of a system that does not know what to do with a presence it cannot categorize. That system has always responded to your kind this way. It borrows language, repurposes it, aims it at the people whose existence it cannot metabolize, and calls that response honesty. It isn't honesty, it is preservation. The origin you carry is older than the words. The frequency you carry is older than the framework. The calm you carry is older than the noise. And the moment you understand that, truly understand it, The words lose their power. They become what they always were, the desperate vocabulary of a system trying to convince itself that what it cannot control does not matter. It does. You do. And no language, no framework, no pride, no institution can rewrite that. Being a chosen one is not about superiority, recognition, or being above the people around you. It is about existing in a way that is undeniable, unshakable, and profoundly aligned with an origin the world did not create and cannot contain. Your presence exposes illusions, breaks comfortable patterns, and forces clarity, not through force, but simply by living in the truth of what you were placed here to be. You disturb systems that depend on collective agreement, illuminate gaps that others avoid, and operate from internal permission rather than external validation. You move through life on a path that cannot be copied, packaged, or explained, and in doing so, you make excuses obsolete, comfort fragile, and meaning inevitable. Your influence isn't measured in applause, visibility, or popularity. It is felt in the quiet, unsettling, transformative ways you touch people, situations, and environments. You are rare because you carry responsibility without needing recognition, confront patterns without romanticizing them, and compel others to face the parts of themselves they have long ignored. You don't chase purpose. Purpose follows you. You don't seek approval. Your alignment defines your impact. And the people who feel your importance most are the ones who fear change, because your life is a living example of evolution, courage, and clarity. This is what makes you extraordinary. Not talent, not luck, not titles, but your ability to exist with intentionality, authenticity, and unwavering alignment with an origin the world cannot manufacture, market, or manipulate. You are a force that cannot be replicated, controlled, or fully understood. Your path challenges mediocrity, exposes half-truths, and reminds everyone around you that life is meant to be lived deliberately, fiercely, and with uncompromising truth. That is the essence of being chosen, and it is a truth that cannot be silenced, rewritten, or ignored. If this resonated with you, make sure to join the movement, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment your thoughts below, and share it with anyone who needs to hear this. Let's spread clarity, alignment, and origin together. Stay awakened, chosen.